Hello and welcome to Spectrum News Within the Week. I am Uyai Anyeka and coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the headlines that made the rounds. President Tinubu promises to enhance quality of tertiary education through strategic policies. Federal government suspends N-Power program indefinitely, begins investigation. Plus, Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israel at war after 250 killed in attack from Gaza. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. To begin the news within the week, Nigeria's leader, President Bola Tinubu, said his administration will enhance quality education through the implementation of strategic policies in the sector. Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Gisalo, said this at the 27th convocation of the University of Abuja. He said that one of the key strategies of the Renewed Hope agenda is financial autonomy for tertiary institutions, which will encourage universities to source funds through grants and corporate sponsorships. According to him, this will help to promote sustainability for universities and remove dependency on the government. Tinubu said that his administration is resolute to reform the education sector, adding that government would continue to deploy meaningful resources through regular and special interventions. Away from that, the federal government yesterday announced the indefinite suspension of the N-Power program. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Aidu, made the announcement in a televised interview with newsmen. She said the decision was birthed by some irregularities within the scheme, noting that the government has launched an investigation into the utilization of funds since the program began. The minister claimed that some of the beneficiaries are not found in their place of assignment, yet they expect monthly stipends, stating that some of the beneficiaries ought to have exceeded the program since 2022, but are still on the payroll. Recall that the N-Power program was launched by the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari to address the issue of youth unemployment and help increase social development. Meanwhile, the federal government within the week said beginning from November this year, it will commence the dry season cultivation of wheat on over 70,000 hectares of land. The Minister of Agriculture and Security, Abubakar Kyari, made the disclosure at a briefing in Abuja, stating that the focus is on the way forward for agriculture in Nigeria. He said the wheat production is part of the National Agricultural Growth Scheme and agro-pocket projects funded by the African Development Bank. The minister assured that there would be blending of appropriate fertilizers to support this year's dry season farming, while making provisions for next year's farming season well in advance, adding that there will be the provision of the trainer for extension agents involved in dry season farming in the collaboration with wheat producing states and other partners such as flour mills. According to reports, an expected yield of 875,000 metric tons would be derived from the dry season wheat farming for storage in the country's food reserves. In the meantime, the federal government yesterday announced plans to launch a $617.7 million investment in digital and creative enterprises iDice program in November 2023. The iDice program, which aims to promote innovation and generate job opportunities within the technology sector, was launched in March this year under the immediate past administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. In a statement released by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, during a meeting at the presidential villa, instructed the IDI's steering committee to ensure the program starts before the end of November. He urged all IDI's program partners to responsibly manage the allocated funds, emphasizing the transformative potential of the $617.7 million initiative. Meanwhile, the federal government has reportedly paid an interest of 912.32 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023 on the loans it got from the Central Bank of Nigeria through Ways and Means advances. According to reports, this amount was stated in the Q1 2023 Budget Implementation Report by the Budget Office of the Federation. The amount spent paying interest on this loan is 161.47% higher than the 348.92 billion naira spent in the same quarter of 2022. Moving to the legislature this week, the National Assembly, the federal government to take the lead, in cancer care in the country. The chairman of health committees of the 10th National Assembly made the call at the Legislative Dialogue on Health, which was held in Lagos State. The dialogue, with the theme Sustainable Cancer Care Financing in Nigeria, was convened by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Health in the 9th National Assembly, Senator Ibrahim Olorigbe. A statement issued by the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment said that Amos Magaji, Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Health Care Services, spoke on behalf of other chairmen. He noted that the cost of cancer care is huge and could not be borne by any single individual. To the Red Chambers, the Senate Committee on Public Accounts PAC in the course of the week queried the absence of a substantive Auditor General of the Federation in the last few years. The chairman of the committee, Ahmed Wadada, made this known during the committee's inaugural meeting, while stating the efforts so far made to ensure that a substantive Auditor General of the Federation is in place. Wadada said that the acting Auditor General of the Federation, who is a director in the office, had been invited by the committee. He further raised concerns as to why the Auditor General's annual reports were sent to the Senate late. In a separate development, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, within the week called for the prioritization of financial inclusion, saying that it is essential to the expansion of the country's economy. Tijani spoke at the launch of a financial technology company in Abuja. According to the minister, financial inclusion contributes significantly to economic growth by increasing the number of individuals who do businesses that can participate in the formal economy. Tijani added that by providing people with access to financial resources like savings and credit, financial inclusion may aid in reducing poverty. Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior, Lubumi Tunji-Ojo, during the week said 204,322 international passports are now ready for collection out of the backlog of over 300,000 he met on assumption of office. The minister therefore urged Nigerians to pick up their uncollected passports. Tunji-Ojo also revealed that the ministry was working with the Immigration Service and their vendors to ensure that from next year, international passports are delivered directly to the preferred address of Nigerians. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission denied claims of either withdrawing from or abandoning the appeal process of the Kano State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal judgment. The court had sacked Governor Abba Kebia Yusuf, who was the new Nigeria People's Party NNPP candidate in the March 18 election, declaring the All Progressives Congress APC candidate Nasiru Gawuna as the winner. But Yusuf vowed to appeal the judgment, which he described as a misapplication of the law. However, in a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, INEC stressed its position after a letter by its state legal officer, which it described as not authorized. According to the Commission, the correspondence has since been withdrawn and the officer reprimanded. Still on electoral matters, a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, Professor Tahiru Jega, had yesterday been scheduled to lead the short-term ECOWAS election observation mission for the Liberian presidential, senatorial and parliamentary elections fixed for Tuesday, the 10th of October 2023. A statement issued by the executive director of the electoral hub, Princess Haman Obels, said Jega arrived in Monrovia, the Liberian capital, on the 2nd of October 2023 and was welcomed by ECOWAS resident representative to Liberia, Ambassador Josephine Nkrumah. Reports say an estimated of 2,471,617 voters out of Liberia's population of 5.4 million are expected to elect the new president of Liberia, 15 senators and 73 members of the House of Representatives. The role of the West African Election Observation Mission deployed to Liberia is to monitor all pre-electoral, electoral and post-electoral phases of the election to ensure that the electoral process complies with international best practices. We move down to politics, where the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, applied for leave of the Supreme Court to file what he termed as fresh evidence. In a motion he filed through his team of lawyers, Atiku said the evidence he is seeking to tender before the apex court would establish his allegation that President Bola Tinubu submitted forged documents to the INEC in aid of his qualification to participate in the presidential election that held on February 25. The former vice president maintained that President Tinubu, by his action, committed a twin offense of forgery and perjury and therefore deserved to be removed from the office by the Supreme Court. According to the motion, the 32-page document was released by the Chicago State University on the orders of Judge Nancy Maldonado of the District Court of Illinois, Eastern Division, Illinois, United States of America. In another development, the Senior Special Assistant SSA to the President on Community Development Southeast Region, Chioma Mweze, yesterday reiterated the commitment efforts of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to develop the region and end the threats of erosion and insecurity. Mweze, who made this known in a statement signed and made available to newsmen, said the president is determined to bring unprecedented development to the region in line with his renewed hope agenda that entails inclusive development of all zones without leaving any section of the country behind. She noted further that the region will boast in greater development, especially when the Southeast Development Commission Bill 2023, which has passed the first reading in the Senate, is concluded and passed into law. She applauded the lawmaker representing Anambra South Senatorial District, Senator Patrick Ifeanyi, for reintroducing the Southeast Development Commission Bill in the National Assembly. Away from that, the Federal Republic of Nigeria has called for a ceasefire and dialogue on the outbreak of hostilities between Israel and Hamas in a statement signed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga. Nigeria said the escalation between both countries would result in an unending cycle of pain and suffering for the civilian population, advising that both parties should exercise restraint and prioritize the safety of civilians. Reports say Palestinian armed group Hamas launched an attack code-named Operation Al-Qasr Flood against Israel. The attack is the most serious escalation since Israel and Hamas fought an 11-day war in 2021. In a separate development, the Federal Road Safety Corps has said that there is need for its personnel to bear firearms in discharging their duties, considering the level of security challenges across the country. The Corps Marshal Dauda Bayo made this known while inaugurating 1,762 personnel of the Corps who just concluded their 4-month basic course at the Nigerian Army Training Center, Kontogara, Niger. Bayo, who was represented by Deputy Corps Marshal Shehu Zaki, said that the measure will ensure adequate protection for the personnel who were often attacked in the course of duty by some road users or suspected criminals who take advantage of the security challenges in the country. He, however, urged the cadet officers, cadet marshal assistants and road marshal assistants to be dedicated to their duties toward bringing glory to the Corps and the nation. In another development, the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) within the week debunked an advertisement making the rounds on social media with the caption "NYSC Trust Fund NYSCTF 2023 boosts your business dream." The Corps urged the general public to disregard the advertisement, insisting it is fake. The management said the piece is not from the NYSC, noting that it is the handwork of fraudsters bent on defrauding unsuspecting Nigerians, particularly serving and former corps members, of their resources. It explained that the NYSC Trust Fund is still awaiting President Bola Tinubu's assent. It therefore added that the existence of an NYSC portal and link to register for the fund is only a ruse. Away from that, the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) during the week raised the alarm over the threat of rapid flooding along the River Niger and River Benue basin owing to the release of water from the Lacto Dam in the Republic of Cameroon. The Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, issued the warning at a media briefing in Abuja. Ahmed noted that the already stated states such as Adamawa, Taraba and Benue were feeling, the impact of the huge flooding occasioned by the water from Lacto Dam. The agency called on states along the River Benue and River Niger basin to urgently activate their emergency response plans, warning more states in the basin will experience flooding in the days ahead. In a related development, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) in the course of the week issued a warning that about 15 states across the country are to anticipate experiencing moderate to heavy rainfall in the next 3 days. The agency also forecast strong winds in at least 18 states from Friday, October the 6th through October the 8th. This was contained in the latest edition of the impact-based weather forecast issued by the agency. The agency stated that prospects of moderate to heavy rainfall exist over parts of Adamawa, Borno, Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Plateau, Taraba, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Kogi, Kwara, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ogun states. NIMET also added that the FCT, Niger, Plateau, and 15 other states may experience strong winds today. Still to come in the news. World Bank says Naira among worst performing currencies in Africa. Stay tuned for details of these and more after this time out.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories on the news within the week. In Africa, Ivorian President Al-Hassan Ouattara within the week dismissed his Prime Minister Patrick Archie in office since 2021 and announced the forthcoming formation of a new government 2 years ahead of the presidential election. In a press release by the Secretary General of the Presidency, Abdulmahen Sisi, Ouattara signed a decree terminating the functions of the Prime Minister, head of government, as well as members of the government. The Ivorian head of state expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister Archie and all the members of the government for their commitment to serving the nation over the past few years. Reports say Patrick Archie was appointed in March of 2021 following the death of his predecessor Ahmed Bakakyo, who had succeeded Amadou Kulabe, who died in July of 2020. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, during the week said it has reached a preliminary agreement with the Ghanaian authorities on the economic policies and reforms to conclude the first review of the $3 billion bailout fund the country is currently receiving. In a statement, it said it was satisfied with Ghana's performance with respect to the program's target and reform objectives. According to the statement, the agreement will need to be approved by the IMF Executive Board. Reports say if this staff-level agreement is given the IMF management's approval, Ghana would receive about $600 million, the second installment of the 3-year bailout program. Elsewhere, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, in the course of the week, launched a new border force in a bid to tighten the country's porous borders. The inauguration took place in the town of Musina, home of the busy Beit Bridge border post with Zimbabwe. Ramaphosa said increasing numbers of undocumented foreign nationals had exacerbated many of the country's social and economic problems, noting that immigration is one of South Africa's most pressing political issues. According to him, hundreds of border guards have been recruited and will be working together with the Defense Force. They will be manning South Africa's ports of entry, which include 8 seaports, 52 land borders, and 11 international airports. In the meantime, Gabon's interim President General Brice Nguema within the week revealed that members of the Transitional National Assembly and Senate will soon be appointed, affirming his government's commitment to social dialogue. He made the revelation on X, formerly known as Twitter, after meeting Central African Republic President Faustin Taldera during an official visit to Bangui. Reports say the announcement comes amid negotiations to determine the individuals who should occupy the 70 seats in the National Assembly and 50 in the Senate. Recall that in September, Nguema appointed leaders of both legislative bodies, leaving room to complete the appointments of future members of parliament later. Still in Africa, Kenyan lawmakers during the week called on the government to ban the sale of a brand of imported nicotine pouches widely sold in the country. The Health Minister Susan Kwatnicha told Parliament that Velo was a rebrand of a British-American tobacco, but nicotine pouch commonly known as Lift. which was declared illegal in 2022. While the then Health Minister Motayi Kagwe Nachimucha noted that Velo is imported from Hungary and distributed in the country by BAT, noting that no local manufacturer of nicotine pouches exists in the country. According to health experts, Kenya is experiencing a resurgence of highly addictive nicotine products which were banned by the ministry, adding that a technical team would review the law and make further recommendations. Moving to the foreign scene, at least 250 people were reported to have been killed and 1,500 wounded in Israel after the Palestinian militant group Hamas launched its biggest attack in years. According to reports, dozens of gunmen from Gaza infiltrated southern Israeli communities after dawn under the cover of heavy rocket fire. They have taken both Israeli soldiers and civilians hostage, and some have been brought back to Gaza. Medics say Israel has responded with a wave of airstrikes on Gaza that have killed 232 people and wounded 1,600. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom, France and Germany have firmly condemned the terrorist attack from Gaza against Israel. The United States has also unequivocally condemned attacks by Hamas terrorists against Israel and promised to ensure the key U.S. ally has the means to defend itself. Meanwhile, the death toll in Israel from a surprise attack by Palestinian militant Hamas group has risen to 70. Still on the foreign scene, Donald Trump within the week endorsed staunch conservative Congressman Jim Jordan's bid to become the next Speaker of the House of Representatives. Trump said he will be a great Speaker of the House and has his complete and total endorsement. Jordan, aged 59, was one of the first Republicans to join the race to replace Kevin McCarthy, who was ousted by members of his own party last week. It was the first time in history that a Speaker has lost a no-confidence vote. In a post on his social media platform, Trump said Jordan had been a star long before making his very successful journey to Washington. Meanwhile, the United States is reportedly expelling 2 Russian diplomats from the embassy in Washington. This was revealed by the State Department, who said the expulsion is in response to Russia's spacious expulsion of 2 U.S. Embassy in Moscow diplomats. The spokesperson in an emailed statement noted that the department will not tolerate the Russian government's pattern of harassment of U.S. diplomats, and the actions send a clear message that unacceptable actions against the U.S. Embassy personnel in Moscow will have consequences. In the meantime, the U.S. during the week announced that it is resuming delivery of food aid for refugees in Ethiopia after a 5-month interruption. This comes after the authorities in Addis Ababa agreed to step away from distributing the supplies. Meanwhile, a statement by U.S. aid said reforms made by the Ethiopian government that led to the resumption of the aid include strengthening monitoring and oversight, as well as increasing commodity tracking. Still more news on the foreign scene within the week. Ukraine's coordinating agency for the treatment of prisoners of war said the bodies of 64 fallen Ukrainian service members has been repatriated in exchange for the remains of Russian military personnel who died in the country. The agency in the statement said Ukrainian officials will now take the service members' bodies to state institutions for forensic exams. According to the Ukrainian President's office, the coordinating agency also negotiates exchanges involving prisoners of war. Reports say since the beginning of the war, at least 1,896 bodies of Ukrainian service members has been repatriated. We move now to business news. The World Bank within the week described the Nigerian naira as one of the worst performing currencies in Africa. According to the World Bank's report, Shaping Africa's Economic Future, the currency weakened by nearly 40% against the US dollar since a mid-June devaluation. It stated that so far this year, the Nigerian Naira and the Angolan Kwanza are among the worst performing currencies in the region. It disclosed that the weakening of the Naira was triggered by the central bank's decision to remove trading restrictions on the official market, and for the Kwanza, it was the decision of the central bank to stop defending the currency as a result of low oil prices and greater debt payment. Meanwhile, other currencies, according to the World Bank, reports with significant losses so far in 2023 included South Sudan 33%, Burundi 27%, the Democratic Republic of Congo 18%, Kenya 16%, Zambia 12%, Ghana 12%, and Rwanda 11%. Meanwhile, the federal government has said that Nigeria's available power generation capacity has plunged by 2,324 megawatts due to deteriorating plant and units capacities and poor maintenance caused by liquidity challenges, among others. It stated that though the country's installed power generation capacity increased marginally, the quantum of available power crashed by over 2,300 megawatts between 2015 and 2022. Data from the latest 2022 electricity markets competition revealed that the country's available power capacity dropped from 6,401 megawatts in 2015 to 4,059 megawatts in 2022. The report, which was put together by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, showed that the installed capacity in Nigeria electricity supply industry grew by 7.95% from 12,132 megawatts as of December 2015 to 13,097 megawatts as at December 2022. Elsewhere, state governments in the course of the week reportedly borrowed about 46.17 billion naira from three banks to pay salaries between January and June of 2023. The banks include Access, Fidelity, and Zenith, with findings based on an analysis of the half-year 2023 financial statements of these banks. Reports say that the states borrowed the most from Access Bank in 6 months, with a record of 42.97 billion naira loan, followed by Zenith Bank by 1.78 billion naira borrowed, and Fidelity Bank with 1.40 billion naira borrowed within the 6-month period. Meanwhile, our state government's indebtedness to commercial banks rise due to worsening revenue challenges. The Fiscal Responsibility Commission have issued guidelines to banks on lending to state governments. Still in business, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) within the week revealed that total capital importation dipped by 32.90% to $1.3 billion in the second quarter of 2022 from $1.53 billion in the second quarter of 2023. According to the document, when compared to the preceding quarter, capital importation fell by 9.04% from $1.132.65 billion in the first quarter 2023. NBS said other investments ranked top, accounting for 81.28% of total capital importation in quarter 2 of 2023, followed by portfolio investment with 10.37% and foreign direct investment with 8.35%. The document noted that the production sector recorded the highest inflow with $605.4 million, representing 58.73% of total capital imported in quarter 2 2023, followed by the banking sector, valued at $194.58 million, and shares with $68.63 million. Still to come in the news. Imperial's Ireland reaches quarters final as Scots crash out in Rugby World Cup. Stay tuned for details of these and more after the break.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now to conclude the news within the week. In health, the federal government during the week called on governors of the 19 states with confirmed cases of diphtheria to reintroduce face mask wearing at public gatherings. The federal government said the advice was necessary because the confirmed cases had soared to 8,406. The cases were recorded in 114 local government areas in 18 of 36 states and Abuja. Meanwhile, the federal government charged the general public to make use of their face mask to stop the spread of diphtheria. In the meantime, the federal government also signed a memorandum of understanding MOU with 12 pharmaceutical companies as part of its effort to guarantee medicine security. The Director General of the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, Mohammed Sambo, announced this in Abuja during the signing of the MOU with the NHIA Medicine Supply Initiative, NMSI. Sambo said the initiative was geared toward the strengthening of local pharmaceutical manufacturers, which would ultimately guarantee medicine security as well as facilitate the supply of affordable, acceptable, accessible, available and quality medicine and other health products. The NHIA boss said 7 states with include Delta, Enugu, Gombe, Jigawa, Niger, Osun, and Sokoto have been selected with the Federal Capital Territory FCT for the pilot phase of implementing the initiative. Still in health, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, in the course of the week said 6 states account for a staggering 97% of all reported diphtheria cases in the country. According to the agency's Director General, Dr. Faiz Al-Shwaib, who spoke at the diphtheria outbreak response press conference in Abuja, the affected states are Kano, Yobe, Katsina, Borno, Kaduna and Bauchi. The Director General further said that the 6 states were bearing the brunt of the disease in the country, stressing that Kano alone carries the weight of over 84% of the cases, making it the epicenter of the outbreak. Meanwhile, the Director General stated that campaigns are carried out to stop the spread of the disease. Moving on to sports news within the week, Imperials Ireland dismantled Scotland with a display of clinical brilliance to reach the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals and send their opponents crashing out of the tournament. A 17th consecutive victory ensures that the world's #1 side finished top of Pool B to set up a meeting with New Zealand next Saturday. Ireland got up to a dream start in Paris as James Lowe crashed over for the opening try after only 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Wayne Rooney has left his role as coach of Major League Soccer side DC United by mutual consent after his side missed out on the MLS Cup playoffs. The Manchester United's record goal scorer took up the role with the Washington-based side in July 2022. He had previously spent 18 months at the club as a player before he joined Derby as player coach in January 2020. Recall that DC United missed the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year despite a 2-0 win in the final regular season match against New York City FC. Still in sports, Scott McTominay scored twice in stoppage time as Manchester United came from behind to record a sensational Premier League victory against Brentford at Old Trafford. McTominay was only brought on with 3 minutes remaining as manager Eric Ten Hag desperately searched for salvation, and the Scot duly provided it. He showed excellent control before firing home when Christopher Aje scuffed a clearance inside his own box for the first. On our entertainment news, the organizers of the Africa International Film Festival, AFRIF, have said that the 12th edition of the festival would hold from November 5 through 11, 2023. The founder of AFRIF, Chioma Day, during a media briefing in Lagos, said the festival with the theme Indigenous to Global 2.0 will focus mainly on promoting and projecting indigenous contents to the global audience. She added that so far the platform had generated 1,000 quality films to be exhibited in the course of the festival. Meanwhile, Nigeria singer David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has seemingly responded to the allegations by former president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, that he refused to show up at an event in Warri, Delta State, despite being paid an excess of $94,600. Recall that Pinnick recently called out Davido for refusing to perform at this year's Warri Again festival, despite allegedly receiving a payment of $94,600 and the organizers booking a private jet for him for $18,000. In another post, Davido said nobody could stop him from performing anywhere in Nigeria, assuring his fans in Warri that he would be in their city soon. Still on entertainment, British screenwriter and director Terence Davies, known for films including Distant Voices, Still Lives, has died at the age of 77. Born and raised in Liverpool, his work often has an autobiographical element. His manager confirmed in a statement he died peacefully at home after short illness. His most recent work, Netflix drama Benediction, starring Slow Horses actor Jack Lowden and Doctor Who's Peter Capaldi, explored the life of war poet Siegfried Sassoon. And that's all we have for you on the news within the week, a recap of some of the major stories we had week long. Thank you for being a part of this. Do well to follow us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Uyai Anyeka, and do enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God bless you.